It's on.
Hello. Thank you guys for coming out here. Thank you for standing for life. As a post-abortive woman myself, I can tell you that it is a choice that you can never reverse. You can never, ever come back from this. It will change you forever. I was 22 when I got pregnant. I was a college student. I had ambitions. And when I didn't know where to turn because I was out away from my family. I was 600 miles away from my family. I didn't have anybody there to support me. My boyfriend at the time was not extremely supportive, but he basically just left it up to me, do whatever you want. I reached out to where I thought I could go was the clinic, the doctors that could help me, that could give me some clues as to what to do. And when I was in the meeting to go over my options, it was basically, you are a single mother. Well, they didn't call me a mother. But you are a single person, college student, you're never gonna make it. Do you realize, here are the statistics, A, B, and C, of how your life is gonna pan out. Look at the boyfriend sitting next to you. Do you think he's really gonna stick around? You should just go ahead and have this abortion. It's gonna be much easier. You'll be able to resume normal activity within 24 hours and be on your way. And so, looking out there frightened, 22, not wanting to tell my parents anything, I went ahead and signed on that dotted line. They didn't have the sonogram bill back then in my state. And I didn't know exactly how far along I was. I didn't know really what development was at that stage. They didn't tell me what development was at that stage. I didn't realize that my baby's heart was beating. I didn't realize that by 8 weeks, the body is fully formed. The organs are fully formed. They just need time to mature and grow. Everything's there. It's not a lump of cells, like they like to tell you. And I went in that morning to the clinic. They took me back. They gave me a general anesthesia, which did not put me under. It put me in a loopy sedation, fully still awake for the process. He told me it would be all over in 5 minutes. And when they began that, he flipped the switch, and the instrument that they inserted is hooked onto a machine that has 20 times the suction power of your household vacuums. When it came on, my body turned and grimaced in pain, even with the anesthesia that they gave so that I wouldn't feel it. I felt it, and I heard it. And I laid there on the table crying. He told me that the nurses were going to take me back to a recovery room, and they did. And I was led back, and there was this room full of recliners. All of them were full except for the one that I was to sit in. And they let me sit down, gave me an ice pack for my groin, and told me to relax. And I sat there, and the worst sobs that you've ever heard coming from women all around. They were absolutely sobbing, and not just a little whimper like, I'm in a little pain. They were sobbing like there was a death, like they had just been wrecked. And I couldn't move. I was paralyzed with shock. I was still loopy, and I just sat there trying to breathe. The girl next to me looked over at me, and she just started to cry. And she looked at me and she said, "Are we gonna be okay? I mean, we're gonna be okay, right?" And she took my hand, and I couldn't answer her. I couldn't answer her at that point because I didn't know at that moment. We held hands and we cried. When I was on my way out, after however long of recovering, the abortionist saw me in the hallway, and he put his hand on my shoulder, and he said, "You'll be fine to resume normal activity within 24 hours. I would suggest that you go and do something fun to get your mind off of it." And I kind of looked at him, not really understanding, grasping what he was saying. But he said, it's good to, take your mind off things. You should go to Disney World. Don't worry, it'll be fine to drink as well, to alleviate some stress. And so I was confused as I left there, but I told my boyfriend that. And that's what we did. The next day we went to Disney World after my abortion. And we drank until oblivion. And that track record continued, because that is another thing that they do not tell you about. They don't tell you that the depression that you're going to go into, the suicidal thoughts that you can have, the substance abuse issues that generally come up when you are trying to alleviate the pain that you're in. I attempted suicide 3 times. I envisioned my car driving off this bridge that I would go to in and out of the town that I lived in. My drug and alcohol abuse went through the roof. I almost OD'd. And now I realize that it's not your body, your choice, because really they don't give you a choice. They tell you that you cannot do it, that you are going to suffer, you're going to make everyone else around you suffer by being pregnant. That's right. And so they give you one open door, and abortion's it, and that's all that's ever talked about. I want to say, I don't know how many of you know, but Jane Roe from Roe v. Wade, the case that made abortion legal, actually did not know what abortion meant. She didn't. She dropped out of school at the age of 14, and she met up with these lawyers because her friends were telling her that she could just get rid of her problem. But she didn't know what fetal development was. She didn't know what the term abortion meant. She thought that it meant going back to not being pregnant. She didn't know that it meant taking away a human life. And so I find that fact interesting, because here it is 40 years later. A monumental thing in our country that claims the lives of 1.3 children every single year, and the person in the case did not even know what the term meant. Bernard Nathanson, the founder of NARAL, he turned pro-life in the 1980s when he witnessed an abortion on ultrasound. He saw what he was doing. He committed 70,000 abortions, and he was an abortion champion. He was the president of NARAL. When he saw what he was doing day in and day out, he was absolutely horrified. He admitted, up until his dying day, he admitted that he made up a lot of those statistics of what you hear about the back alley butchers. He quoted numbers: 5,000-10,000 women a year die from back alley abortions. They're safe and dirty, or they're unsafe and dirty. And the only difference is between the back alley butchers and today's abortion clinics is that they let you in through the front door. The procedure's the same, the instruments are the same, they let you in through the front door. That's the difference. Kermit Gosnell butchered women, butchered children. We have Carpin down in Houston, who is butchering women, butchering children. At the beginning of this year, February, 5 women died within February at a Planned Parenthood in Delaware. Do you think you hear about that on the news? No, you don't, because they want to keep that fact from you. They don't want you to know. Abortion is not safe. It's not rare. The only thing it is legal. Keep fighting for life. You are doing the right thing. Stay encouraged, stay positive. And together, we'll do this.